right, Jastin. A through Z.
M.
M. Unfortunately, Malcolm Jamal Warner passed away this week. I believe the cause of death was drowning. Something like that. It really sucks. He was really good in a lot of stuff.
Yeah, I didn't realize how much television he had been on. It was a crazy amount. Like, I knew he had been on a lot of stuff, but like double the amount that I thought he was on. He was just that TV guy, you know?
Yeah.
The most recent show I watched with him on it was Suits. Played the prison counselor in Suits. But great.
Oh, that's
always
right.
great. And just, yeah, that one really sucked. I was really sad when that one happened. I was like, oh, that one blew my mind. Because, and this is slightly morbid, but also Ozzy Osbourne died this week. And I just wasn't surprised by that one. He did his final concert a couple weeks ago. Been dealing with Parkinson's for like the last 4 or 6 years, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, influential to so many people. And it's one of those crazy things. He got to do that final concert. Not everyone gets to do that on those levels, you know. And part of me thinks that might be one reason why he did pass away. Is because it's the kind of the thing of like, you know, people talk about sometimes they're just, people will hold off for like one more person to see them or one more event. Like when they're already kind of terminal. And then once they have that, it's just kind of done from there. And there's a good chance that last show he did was just kind of the last thing he needed to do to like
yeah.
Yeah, I could see some of that. I mean, I can't say I was a huge fan or anything, but I like some of his music. I have some of his songs. He has some fun ones. He has some good ones, some real good ones, memorable songs.
I saw him with Black Sabbath in 2004. That was supposed to be one of the original farewells tours of Black Sabbath. You know, he only did like 5,000 more of those, but this was like one of the original farewell final Black Sabbath tours. And I mean, that was great. It was a great experience.
Cool.
Great experience. And then I guess we might as well get to this one. Terry Bonia died. And I guess if you don't know who that is, that's Hulk Hogan. He died. And, you know, on a spectrum of like good news to bad news, I won't say I took that as good news, but I won't say it wasn't. Like, I can say I didn't find it to be bad news. That's how I'll put it. Jastin, real quick, and I don't want you to necessarily read the Facebook post you put up, but if you want to like summarize kind of what you did, because you did actually like one of the more like thought out takes I saw. You know, not just something where people were just like automatically negative or automatically just don't give a fuck positive. Like you actually gave a thoughtful like response to it. And if you wanted to like summarize it or just kind of restate it in your own way now.
Okay. Yeah, I can do that. Yeah, it was an interesting day because when I first found out he passed away, I knew that basically there was going to be a storm of emotions coming from fans and people and media and everything like that. I already knew it was coming because we saw a preview of it when he made his last appearance when he got booed out of the building. When we kind of had a dialogue and talked about that in length. So no need to revisit too much of it, but I mean, I guess really the gist of what I said is that when you look at Hulk Hogan, two things are true. One is he is one of the most, if not the most, influential pro wrestlers to ever exist or be a pro wrestler. That's true. He's one of the biggest draws in wrestling. That's true. He's one of the most popular stars. He's one of the most accomplished people when it comes to wrestling. All of that is true. But what is equally true is that Hulk Hogan was not a good person. Hulk Hogan proved himself to be a liar. He proved himself to be an opportunist when it came to his relationships and a lot of people. And he also proved himself to be a racist person. And that is true too. And so when you look at his legacy, I think that you have to include both of those things. I'm not going to be one of these people that tries to compartmentalize or say, oh, well, the Hulk Hogan character is one thing, but the person is another. Or
I can't tell you how many rest in peace Hulk Hogan, fuck you Terry Bonia posts I saw. Just some version of that.
Yeah. All that stuff about, Hulk, the Hulk character is one thing, but Balea is another. You can't do it. You just, I don't think.
Is it Balea? Have I been saying
Yes.
Bonia?
Oh, I didn't even realize you said that. I would have corrected you.
I don't even care. So it's fine.
Yes, Terry Balea. But I think when a person does that or compartmentalizes it like that or tries to separate, I think they're doing that more for them than they are for the reality of the situation. You're doing that so that you can give praise without having to include that other part. And all I'm saying is that the best way that I can talk about him or represent him is the truth, like I try to do with anybody. And the truth is he is all of that shit. There is no separating. There is no person because the person and his politics and who he was is part of why he was the immortal Hulk Hogan. That's very much a part of it too.
Well, yeah, because if you go back to when Jesse Ventura was trying to unionize wrestlers, and the night before the union vote, Hulk Hogan goes and tells Vince what the fuck they're doing and busts the whole thing.
Yeah.
Like, what did that do? That was one of the reasons that helped, propel Hulk. Made him a Vince guy, kind of, made Vince put him more on him because that was his guy, because he stopped the union type of shit.
Mm-hmm. And there are just so many examples of him just really looking out for himself when it came to anybody, even when it came to Vince. And when you look at some of the steroid stuff that was going on, Hogan was trying to protect himself before anybody else. You know what I'm saying? Like, there are just countless examples of that. So trying to compartmentalize or trying to separate, I think when you do that, are you really doing that because it's warranted, or are you doing that because that kind of helps you feel better about being able to praise him, or this part of you that's nostalgic, or your childhood when you looked up to him, everything like that? I think doing that sort of, it kind of, you're trying to protect the fact that you don't just want to talk about all of what he is. You kind of want to separate, but the truth is, it's you need to include it all. And I think that that's the best service you can give him is you lay it all out on the table and say that's what he is, all of it. So yes, he's going to have those accomplishments. Yes, he means a lot to wrestling. Yes, he's one of the most influential people. And yes, there are people that can say, shoot, I'm one of them that I can say, would I be wrestling if it wasn't for his contributions? Probably not. You know, I have to give him that. But at the same time, that doesn't absolve who he actually was as a person.
Yeah.
And he's all of that too. And I guess the last thing I'll talk about is these racist comments, because I'm seeing a lot of stuff where we're kind of deflecting or we're minimizing what was actually said and what it actually means. And like, there were people going, well, you know, I saw a lot of posts with people saying, oh, he just made a mistake, but he made mistakes. He's a flawed person. He made a mistake. Everybody sins, this, that, or the other. And like, you know, he just said it a couple of times and, you know, now he's vilified. What about all these other people that say it and all these false equivalencies when it comes to that?
I love that because he got caught in a recording. So it's like, yeah, he said it a couple of times. That recording, nobody drops it that casually. And that's the only times they say it.
Exactly. That's what people need to understand. Like, context is everything. It's one thing to say the N-word while you're listening to a song. It's another thing to say it in the heat of a moment when you're mad at somebody or arguing with somebody. It's another thing to say it when you're amongst your friends and all of that kind of stuff and using it as a term of endearment. There are all sorts of situations where you can say that word, but with anything, and you can also argue there are not appropriate situations in those situations to say it. Of course, we can debate all of that. But when it comes to Hulk Hogan specifically, context is everything. It's not just the fact that he said it. It's what he was talking about. It's how he said it. It's the manner in which he said it. And it was the direct, so matter-of-fact way that he said this in an environment where he was comfortable. He wasn't angry at anybody. This wasn't a slip on a banana peel. This wasn't in the heat of the moment, he was in a calm environment just talking to somebody about his daughter.
That man had just finished having sex.
Exactly.
He's the most clear a man's ever going to be.
Exactly. So this was bedside manner and like, just kind of like him pillow talk. That's what this was. This was him just being himself in a moment and sharing a thought with someone who he had just been intimate with. So I think all of that context has to be included with this. And then what he said, I think, I don't want to even paraphrase it. I think it's just worth saying a few lines about it, because when he's talking about his daughter dating this person, he goes, and I'm going to say it because I don't want to censor. I'm not going to censor it. I'm going to just say it. But I'm going to preface this with, I want you to hear it. I want you to hear everything. I don't want it censored, because I feel like if I censor it or try to protect it in some way, that's really doing a disservice. Like, so I think it's worth me to say what he said, but not censor it so that you can feel it and you can kind of, and hopefully in some sort of way, you can understand what I felt when I heard it. So there's a certain part in this recording where he says, I mean, I'd rather if she, and he's talking about his daughter, Brooke Hogan, I'd rather if she was going to fuck some nigger, I'd rather her have married an 8-foot tall nigger worth $100 million, like a basketball player. I guess we're all a little racist. Fucking nigger. Those were his exact words. And I'm just going to give it back to the people listening to this. Are those the words of somebody slipping on a banana peel? Are those the words of somebody saying something in the heat of the moment or making a mistake? Does that sound like someone who doesn't normally think this on a regular basis?
I mean, especially because the slurs themselves, even if he used not a slur during that, the sentiment of what he's saying still shows the mindset.
Yes, because to say it that way does mean that there is a certain mindset with it, because basically what he's saying is that her dating a black person is bad all around. It's just bad because her being with a black person is just bad no matter who it is. But man, at least if you're going to be with one of those blacks, why at least let it be one of them that has some money, one of those rich athletes, somebody who at least has some monetary value. That is the extent of what he's saying.
Yeah,
it's bad no matter what. There's no way for it to be good. But man, if you're going to do it, at least let it be one of them with some money.
Yeah, and it's also just very telling too, because it sounds to me like he also like tried to let himself off the hook immediately by being like, I guess we're all a little racist, like trying to include everybody into this one thing that he actually said. Like it's just, that was him trying to, like, in a sense, justify what he was saying and then follow it up by like doubling down on saying it.
Jastin, what was the name of his cartoon back in the 80s?
Oh my gosh.
It's like
I don't even remember. It wasn't like Hulk Hogan and Friends or nothing like that, was it?
Close?
Hulk Hogan's Rockin' Wrestling?
Yes.
Rockin', yes.
Why did he say, I guess we're all a little racist? Like, that was the lesson he learned at the end of his cartoon.
Right.
Like, you know, like he's sitting there with everybody at the end of the episode going, man, you know what I learned today, guys? I guess we're all a little racist.
AKA yourself.
And then it's credits.
Right.
Yeah. And then, like you said, Heather, I like how you put that. He says that to try to include everybody and then doubles down and says it one more time in that directed fashion. You know what I mean? So like, and the thing is that no, Hulk Hogan, no, not everybody is racist. No, not everybody thinks like this. No, not everybody is like this. This is a very typical type of racist. Like, this is on that level of, this is your lifestyle. So see, when people say, oh, he just made a mistake, or oh, he was flawed, you got to understand, to think of it like this and to say it like this is more than just a mistake. This is like a lifestyle choice.
Well,
this is just how you view Black people. This is just how you see them.
And on top of that, too, it doesn't help that any of his apologies never felt like apologies. They were just, hey, guys, man, I'm sorry I got caught.
Yep. And if you think we're making that up, go back and look up these apologies, because he spends most of the time talking about the fact that he got caught. He spends most of the time talking, I was being videotaped, I didn't know. I was being videotaped, I just didn't know that I was being videotaped. I didn't know. But what does that have to do with the gravity of your words or what you said, or how you said everybody's a little bit racist? So when you come back and say, no, that's not a reflection of me, I'm not racist, I promise. you don't say this kind of stuff and it just be a mistake.
See,
There's no misunderstanding it.
Yeah, he even says in the quote, I guess we're all a little racist. So you can't even, so it's not even that thing where it's like, man, you know, in the moment I said it, but then I reflected back. He acknowledges that he knows this is racist. He acknowledges that it is, and then doubles down on it with the slur again. Like,
and it's one of those things where I think it's really kind of funny and telling, though, when, you know, when people say things like that, like, well, I guess we're all a little racist. I've never had to say that about anything I've ever said. I've just never had to say that. And the thing is I can't sit here and say that I've never said the N-word in my life. I grew up white in Texas. I know for a fact I've said that word at some point in my life. But it's one of those things where once I actually learned truly like what the word meant, what it means to other people, what it's meant historically, what it's meant contextually, what it's meant through everything, I could honestly say I haven't never said it since. You know, and because there were words and phrases that used that word back in the day that it never clicked, like when you're a child, that's was a derogatory thing. Like a particular thing of like inward rigging my car or something like that. Or another phrase for ding dong ditch, which was inward knocking, you know.
And unfortunately, it is one of those where in places like the Deep South, like I know people where they genuinely just thought that that's what you called people because that's what they always heard from their family.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's one of those things that, like, yes, like I said, I know I've said it and stuff like that. But like, it's like once you like learn stuff and stuff like that, and you're like, oh no, that's horrible.
Right.
I should never say that again. And then if you're not racist, it's real easy just to never say it again.
Right.
Yes.
You just don't. It's real crazy how that happens. When you're just like, oh no, that's bad. I should never say that. And then you just don't.
Yeah.
And then when you hear other white people say it, and it makes you go, ugh.
Yep.
Whenever you like, and the thing is it's real funny because I can hear a black person say it and my body won't physically react. But if I hear another white person say it, my body physically goes, ugh. Like it's just a little like it's a little gross thing. And so I get really weirded out sometimes in certain Quentin Tarantino movies.
Yeah.
Like it's just a visceral thing because it's jarring. And that's why, and the funny thing is I have that sometimes too when I'm watching like old movies and stuff like that, and they say things that we don't say now, and it's just so commonplace. Like it does, it still gets me kind of viscerally with things, even when you go back and just watch like early 2000s TV shows or mid 2000s TV shows, like there's the show Castle. Like for a while, for whatever reason, Detective Beckett loves referring to Castle, like when she's trying to make a dig at Castle, she's like, oh my God, that's so metrosexual, Castle. And you're just like, ew. It's a weird joke.
Yeah.
But it's the same thing. Like it does, it gets a visceral reaction out of me. And so it's really kind of thing. Like it's one of those things like when you watch, if you ever watch that video, it really is that. Because you can just hear it in his fucking voice.
Yeah.
And
he says it with his whole chest.
And the sad thing is too, is it's, motherfucker, you just got fucked. Why are you thinking about your daughter or the person she's dating and those types of things?
Literally.
In that time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the fact that that's such a concern for you at that time, and to speak and all of those examples that you said of using the N-word and stuff like that, and I get some of that, but to talk about someone like this and to reference it in such a racist way, because this harkens back to just everything that Black people know all too well, and have just experienced and have been through, or have heard stories about, or just have. This harkens back to that kind of racism that
Oh, that's
where
that Jim Crow South shit.
yeah, that's exactly what this is. It's these kinds of thoughts. It's this very kind of mentality that have that is this is where that trauma of racism comes from for Black people, and it continues to be a struggle. It continues to be a fight. So you got to understand, well, and maybe for certain white people or other races, it's impossible to understand on the level that we do, having just been through that and everything. But the hope is you could at least empathize a little bit and understand just how hurtful that is for us to hear that.
Yeah.
Especially if it's someone that you were watching on TV that is portrayed as a hero, that's somebody that's supposed to care about people and kids and talking about saying your prayers and eating your vitamins. And he's supposed to be the ultimate representation of America, the country, and all of this kind of stuff. And ironically, maybe he is in a lot of ways, but it's not the ideals that we strive to be like. He's just an example of everything that we don't like about this place.
It really is like Steve from Blue's Clues. If he got filmed after fucking just talking about how much he hates gay people.
Right.
Like it's it's that type of thing. It's like an influential childhood figure for so many people.
Yeah.
And then you're sitting there going, oh, he never liked me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's one of those where I feel like we kind of touched on this last time we talked about Hulk Hogan on here, but just in general, the idea of like, well, you might be like, I'm not a racist, but I like this guy. And it's kind of one of those, again, where it's like, if them being racist is okay to you, that's a bigger problem than you just being okay with like, oh, he's a legend, and like so many comments that I've seen about it is like, but he's such a legend. He changed the game with wrestling. And it's like, okay, but also what you're telling me now is that that's more important to you than how he was actually treating and thinking about other people, other human beings, so it's just that like that weird, again, people want to make themselves feel better about what they're okay with. And I think even, again, Hulk Hogan and his message of like, I guess we're all a little racist. Was that his way of trying to like make himself feel better? Like, oh yeah, everybody's like this, right? No, that's just not what it is, and like, I really appreciated kind of like what you talked about with the, I know something that you had said in your post was like, it's might be difficult to understand it if you're not Black, or, so and that's true, because it's like, as outraged as somebody can be about it, but I feel like, unfortunately, a lot of the people I'm seeing that are defending him are white people, where they're just like, oh, but he was such a legend. And, who cares about this thing that he might've said? He was still the best wrestler ever. But it's like, I mean, if it was somebody who had said something about kind of the core of who you are, would you feel the same way? It doesn't affect you directly. So therefore you could sit here and say that that's fine, so it's just a very, it was a good point that you made. And I'm glad that you said it, because it's kind of that same thing we've talked about, even in like the political landscape and things like that, where it's like, if it doesn't directly affect you, then it's easy to just be like indifferent about things, or to accept things that you wouldn't if it was directly you that was offended or being talked about like that,
Yeah. Yeah. And I made it a point to put that in there because I want people to understand that, like, if you're white and you hear it, you might go, well, damn, that's fucked up that he said that. Or it might hit you like, oh man, he said that. That's bad. That's wrong. But even if you understand that and know that what he said was wrong, there's no way you could feel it like I did. There's no way you can feel it like a Black person can feel it, because like we just talked about, it harkens back to an attitude, to a mentality, and a way of life in this country that we are trying to fight, that we are trying to rise against, that we are constantly struggling against. And people in such high places, a celebrity like this, an accomplished person like this, where Black people have participated in his success. There were Black people that put him over, that let them pin him and win matches against him. There were Black people that showed up to shows and wore the Hulkamaniac shirts and bought his merchandise. I was one of them that contributed to him. But for somebody to talk like that, you got to understand, to me, it's more than just a slip up or a mistake. That means that I now know that somewhere on the inside, Hogan hates me for just who I am, for just existing, for just existing, not because he knows who I am, not anything that has to do with who I am as a person, but he hates the fact that I just exist as a Black person. For it's somewhere in his mind, deep down, he feels that he is superior to me just because of that fact. And how could I possibly look at him the same?
And I wish I knew the name of the TikToker I saw that said this, because he was talking about Hulk Hogan, and he was talking about how he's mixed, Black and white, and that to Hulk Hogan, him existing is one of the worst things ever, and all these things. And people's like, well, you just, but the man died. And he's like, but why should I show sympathy? Or why should I show mercy or something? I don't remember the exact word, but it's like, why should I show mercy for somebody in death that would have not shown me mercy in life?
Exactly. Can I really feel and be sad and kind of just like honor his legacy and not think about the other part when the other part includes hatred for me? Like, he's told us what he thought about people that look like me, or people who come from the same racial ethnic background as me. He told you what he thought about me. So I can't. So the only thing I can do is say that he is all of these things. Yes, he has the contributions to wrestling, and he's a legend and all of that stuff, but he is also a terrible person. And I think that the most fair way you can be towards him is to acknowledge both of those things. It's not an either or. It's not a one or the other. It's not a persona versus person. Just say, this is who Hulk Hogan was. He is all of these things. And I'm not one of those people. I'm not going to over dramatize it. I'm not one of those people that I hope Hogan goes to hell, or talking about what's supposed to happen to him in the afterlife, or this is not about sins. This is not about some religious aspect of it. All I wanted to talk about was his legacy. You can go ask a preacher about that other stuff. You can ask somebody else about the religious implications or all of that other stuff. That all feels like different topics to me. What I'm talking about is his legacy. And the legacy has to include not only his wrestling, but who he was as a person. And he wasn't a good person. And you got to be able to put those both in the same subject when you talk about Hulk Hogan.
It's also just baffling because I'm like, I don't think anybody ever that I've seen is denying his, legacy of what he contributed to wrestling. But it's just kind of like people feel personally attacked if you say that, he wasn't a good person just because he was a great wrestler or whatever. Like, it's just such a baffling thing like that, But again, I feel like similar to what I feel like you were saying and echoing in what you had posted, like, you can people who were, childhood heroes, for one, you can grow out of that. That's a thing, and that's okay. But also, you can still take that and learn from him who you don't want to be. That's also a thing. You could say, hey, I admired him for this when I was a kid. I grew up, realized and learned some new information, and I changed how I thought about it. And that, instead of making me want to be like him, made me not want to be like him, which is valid as well. And I don't know why it feels like that's super hard for people to understand. Like, they're just feeling personally attacked if you're not just agreeing that he's a legend and leaving it at that. It's just very weird to me.
Yeah. And exactly what you said, exactly were my final thoughts on it. Like, at the end of the day, I don't hate Hulk Hogan. It takes a lot of energy to hate someone. And I feel like if I hate him, then how am I any better than him? The best thing I can be is, so I'm going to be the bigger person. I know now that he hates black people, but guess what? I don't hate him, So I feel like that makes me the bigger person. I can be indifferent about his death and everything like that. Obviously, for the people close to him and stuff like that, it's sad. They're going to have to deal with his death and everything like that. So it's not an indictment on those people. This is not an indictment on anybody who liked Hulk Hogan. And then on some level, I didn't know the man personally. It wasn't like he called me the N-word to my face. Like, there's only so much emotion that I think is warranted for me to give to this one way or the other. But like you said, Heather, the best thing I can take away from it is that, yes, he's a legend in wrestling. And yes, on certain levels, when it comes to wrestling and my influences in wrestling, I can acknowledge him for that. But I also don't want to be that kind of person. I don't want people, hopefully when it's all said and done for me, even if I never make another dime wrestling, I would hope that that it doesn't make me become in any way the kind of person he was. I don't want to hate people because they're different from me. I don't want to hate anyone, or I don't want to ever be in a position where I'm saying something about someone and I have to get racist to make my point, or I have to say this person is wrong because they're different from me, or anything like that. And I would hope that when I'm dead, I don't have half the world saying, man, I accomplished great things. And then the other half of the world saying I'm a shitty person and I need to go to hell. I definitely don't want that, So the best thing I can take from his memory is, like you said, he's an example of somebody I don't want to be like, So, yeah.
I guess since we're kind of wrapping this part up, I just want to end this with a quote from the Iron Sheik himself. Because I'm not going to lie, I strive to be a tenth as petty as that man was. But Hulk Hogan may have been a dumb son of a bitch in the ring, but outside of the ring, he was also a dumb son of a bitch. That Sheik, man. But also, whoever runs the Iron Sheik Twitter account now, come on. Be respectful of the Iron Sheik. Don't be posting no Hulk Hogan condolence things like it did yesterday. Fuck that. Iron Sheik did not have that in him, baby. That man was a petty asshole.
Oh, so somebody posted like a professional thing and then he went on and said, nope.
It was like, well, the Iron Sheik did pass away a few years ago. And so somebody else is like running his Twitter account now. And essentially they were like, there was no Hulk Hogan without the Iron Sheik, and there was no Iron Sheik without Hulk Hogan. Fuck that.
Interesting. I didn't realize that he had passed away. I'm not quite sure who that is, but okay.
That man, though, legendarily hated Hulk Hogan. Yeah. Legendarily hated that man. And I'm not going to say the Iron Sheik himself was a great person or anything like that. I'm just saying that man was petty. And I loved it. There was one time it was like, Hulk Hogan, you're worse than an airport tuna sandwich. It's shit like that. He just constantly, just no matter what. Like on April Fool's Day, one time he was like, Hulk Hogan was the best of all time. April Fools, you're still a jabroni. Like that's just the type of shit that Iron Sheik would just say. He's like, hey, it's a Wednesday. Fuck Hulk Hogan. Like it's that was his life.
Yeah. It's like that Lex Luthor petty.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. And the thing is, the funny thing is, I have heard wrestlers tell stories about the Iron Sheik. And they're just talking about like funny things he did. Like Undertaker has a great story about the Iron Sheik, all kinds of stuff. And they're like talking about him fondly. There are not too many wrestlers that have fond stories about Hulk Hogan. We'll just put it that way. I'm not saying there weren't wrestlers that were like, oh, we lost a legend and all those things. No. I'm just saying the people that used to wrestle with him, not too many of them have fond stories about Hulk Hogan.
Yeah. And all I would want people to do is just be honest. Be honest about all that he was and feel something for the entire man, not just what you saw on TV, not just what you saw as a child. We all have to grow up. We all have to face realities. You can look at him for all of the good and bad and say, that's who he was. That was him. That's very much a part of his legacy, and it should all equally be spoken about. And that doesn't mean you have to hate him. That doesn't mean you have to wish he goes to hell. That doesn't mean you have to spit on his grave or be like, I'm glad he's dead, or any of those extreme views. I'm not even saying that I agree with all of that shit, but I understand why it's happening. I understand why and I can't tell anybody how to feel when it comes to just how like awful that man was in some of his views and how he treated people. So to me, every reaction is a deserved one when this is how you live your life. And sure, you're going to get praise. You're going to get accolades. You're going to get all of that stuff. People are going to call you a legend. Great. But people are also going to call you a motherfucker and say they're glad you're dead, and they're going to say you're a racist, and they're going to say, but this is all a part of who you were and what your legacy is.
It's why I have my never-ending campaign on people knowing the truth about Alfred Hitchcock, John Wayne, Elvis Presley, Henry Kissinger, Ronald Reagan, Woody Allen, just all these people. It's why, to me, it's so important to know the whole story.
Yeah, it really is.
Because, some people might not know the whole story, and you might unknowingly be idolizing a garbage person and putting them up on a pedestal they don't deserve to be on.
Yeah.
But also, if at the end of the day, you have all the information and you still go, I love John Wayne. I guess.
That's on you at that point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know,
yeah.
It's the same thing. It's the same thing with Hulk Hogan, though. If at the end of the day, you know the whole story and you look at him and go, I'm still a Hulkamaniac. You know, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's on you at that point.
Yeah. I mean, it's funny. Like I recently read this quote that said, try to remember to live for your funeral and not your resume, or for your eulogy and not your resume. And I feel like this is like an exact example of why, because it's like, at the end of the day, like when you die, what is it that people are actually going to say about you versus like, cool, you did all these things in the professional field or whatever. But what does that add up to at the end of the day if people aren't remembering you for the person you were, you know?
Yeah. And it's just about the truth to me. It's not about being on a high horse. I know everybody makes mistakes. I know nobody is perfect. I get all of that, but this is not about being on a high horse, but it is about telling the truth. And I mean, that's what we're going to try to do. I would rather, if I'm going to praise anyone in any profession for anything, or even if people are going to praise me, you know, I would hope that the praise is warranted to where we don't have to worry about this other side of them that is awful. You know, I would hope that if you are being praised for something, it's warranted. And if you're not, and you get caught or it gets revealed, or even, and that it goes to me too, well, then it is what it is. It's part of my truth. It's who I am. I did it.
I mean, I just like at this point, my whole goal in life is when it's all said and done, and when I die, I just hope somebody doesn't go, well, good riddance, like I did when Hulk Hogan died.
Exactly.
Like, in all honesty, I found out Hulk Hogan died at the end of a work meeting. My first thought was, good riddance. That's bad.
Yeah. But it just goes to show, like I said in that post, everything that you do matters, man. Like, and don't get me wrong, I don't mean like when you drop a candy wrapper. I mean, you know, obviously when we say everything, we're talking about that real shit, man. Like,
it's essentially live your life like you're always being recorded after sex.
Basically, right? Like, it all matters. Yeah. Like, it all matters, and there's no way to compartmentalize it or minimize it. It all matters. So yes, your accomplishments matter, all of your accolades, what you do in your profession or your passions. Yes, all of that matters. But the other part of that, the simple part of that, how you treat people, how you live your life, how you talk about other people, how you look at other people, or in this case, look down on other people, or have these discriminatory thoughts against other people, or these racist thoughts against other people, that counts too. All of it matters.
And it's one of those things that what I appreciate about what we do here with stuff is I know I've said some outlandish things, but I know both of you can attest to, I don't say anything on here that's any more outlandish than I'd say if we weren't recording. Like, it is very true to form. And I feel like we all kind of sit there with it. You know what I mean? I don't say anything on here to just get a reaction that I would not say if I wasn't getting a reaction. But also, it's one of those things, like, I don't say anything in those regards of like, that this is any different than what I would just say in my private life. There's not like a private Sterling that sits there and says a bunch of like slurs and anti-gay stuff and anti-black stuff. Like, you know what I mean? Like, that's, you know, I don't like, I do kind of approach my life like I'm always being recorded, because like, this is me. You know what I mean? Like, these are the same things I say off camera and off.
And can you live with that at the end of the day? You know?
And it's like one of those things, like, I never have to worry about apologizing for getting caught saying something on a recording.
Yeah.
Like, there will never be a hot mic or anything like that, or something there. I'm going to be caught off guard with what I say. Because there's no different thing. I'm not, there's no duality to it.
Yeah.
You know, and that's why I guess that is how going to be my motto now. Live your life like you're being recorded after sex.
I think one of the favorite comments that I saw somebody say was, cool, all of these people who are supporting it and okay with him being racist, I hope that you realize this is all over the internet and your employees can probably see this. So have fun with that.
Although, Jastin, I love that one you sent us where that guy was like, Hulk Hogan passed away. I guess everybody's going to say something nice about him now. That was mine. Oh,
that sounds like a Sterling thing to say for real. Though.
Yeah.
Oh, that was so good.
Yeah.
That was
like that was out of your mind, basically.
That's pretty much every time I talk about Henry Kissinger. Like,
yeah, man.
And Ronald Reagan.
Yeah,
I guess
I follow a TikTok account that every day just says Ronald Reagan's dead. It posts every day, and all it is Ronald Reagan's still dead. That's it. That's all that TikTok account does every day. Oh, it's great.
Man, Hulk Hogan, man. Hulk Hogan.
Anyway, segue into this movie.
Yes.
You guys ready for this?
Yeah, sure.
I'm not.
Somebody listen to me.
Nobody knows anything but you.
All right. Are you ready?
Yes.
Come on.
Cinema Slayers.
Hey, Cinefans, and welcome back to another episode of the Cinema Slayers podcast. I'm Sterling, and as always, I'm joined by Heather and Jastin. And tonight we're going to talk about what we liked, didn't like, and everything in between with I Know What You Did Last Summer. We will go spoiler-free recommendations and scores, and then into a more spoiler-centric section with time codes and description to allow you to jump around if you so require in both audio and video formats. And with all that, I'll go first. All right, Heather, what do you think?
It's also the fact that, like, when you even said the title of this movie, the disdain in your eyes. Yeah. You good for me to go, really?
Just speechless, just a loss for words.
Yeah.
I thought I summed it up quite nicely.
Got it. Okay. I mean, did I think this movie was going to be gold? I did not. I wanted to have fun with it though, because these types of movies.
You wanted to have what?
She can't have fun with the film. She can't have some F with the film.
She said fun.
She can't have fun with the film. She can't have fun with the film that they
Yeah.
filmed.
Thanks, Jastin.
No, you can't. Did you see it? No.
Please note, I said I wanted to have fun with
She
the film.
wanted it, Sterling.
Keyword.
She was hoping for
Keyword.
it. She went in there hoping for some fun.
Yeah. Thank you.
Did you see the trailer? Did you?
You know, yeah. Here's the thing.
Do you know what this movie is? It's technically I Know What You Did Last Summer 4.
Right. Yeah.
And
Pretty
you
much.
thought you might have fun.
So here's my thing with it.
What were you saying?
Oh, so you did have more to say, is what you're saying.
I just laughed. I don't know what you're talking about.
So here's the thing. I can admit fully that I sometimes love a good, like, bad horror film. Like, I sometimes really think that they're fun and enjoy how bad they can be, you know? But unfortunately, this wasn't the good kind of bad horror film, if you know what I mean. Like, there's some that you're just like, I love how bad it is. This isn't that. This is kind of the opposite of that for me. And I mean, also, it's one of those where the original film is a core memory for me. Like, I remember when I went to see this movie, I also remember seeing it with my mom. I remember my brother went with his friend the exact same night to go see Mortal Kombat Annihilation because that's what he wanted to see. And I was like, you know what? It was like packed to the brim. Like, we wouldn't have been able to get into the movie. So, you know what? We decided to see I Know What You Did Last Summer instead. That's what happened. And that's why I ended up watching that movie in theaters. So it's just a core memory for me, right? And I remember at, the age of 10 being like, man, this is a crazy movie. This is scary. This is a slasher movie, whatever. So it's more just like that core memory for me of remembering the first one so well. The second one, is a thing. The second one is a thing. This one is even less of a thing. So there's so many issues with this movie. There's so many issues with this movie. It actually just feels like it is like it's devolved horror films in a way. Like, it's like we have progressed so much past 1997 horror slasher films that we can do something different. We could do something better at this point in time. And it just feels exactly like a 1997 horror film. Like, it feels like and that was maybe a choice on purpose. Who knows? But it just was very, very much a letdown. Because, I mean, Scream, the original Scream still works. I will stand on that hill. The original Scream film, 1996, still works. That is still a great horror slasher film.
It only works if you remember landlines.
That's true. Yeah, that is a good point.
If you're so young you don't remember landlines, the film loses everything.
They're just like, what is this? What is this phone she's on? No, that's a fair point. But yeah, for me, the original Scream is still like one of my favorite horror films of all time, but like it progressed a little bit with the times with all of the other films they did for the Scream franchise, right? I Know What You Did Last Summer is in the exact same state that it has always been in, and even more so with this film. And it's been I'm guessing the second film came out like a year or two after the first one, maybe. So still the 90s. So there's been nothing for this since the 90s, except for the TV show that they did, which also wasn't that good. Like, it's weird to me because I'm like, it's a concept that could be interesting if they did something different or better, or like tried a little bit more with the story and the script. But every time they've done it, they've just never landed. And this is absolutely that same pattern for them, unfortunately. So yeah, I did not enjoy this. I'm actually frustrated by this film because of what they do with some of the characters. What would you call it? Basically lying to the audience thing that I know we've talked about, stuff like that. They just do a lot of things in this movie that are like, why would you think that this was a good idea to make this movie good? And yeah, and the characters are very surface. The characters are very much written to be like, we're basically going to make you a newer version of the old characters, but not as interesting. And it just feels like they didn't want to reboot it to make it a better franchise. They wanted to reboot it just so that they would say, hey, people who haven't seen this yet that weren't born when this was first out, let's just let them know what this was about, and just kind of tried to remake the first one. And it was even worse than that. So it's really an unfortunate film. Really bad choices in everything they do with it. They don't even really have interesting kills. It just, nothing about it was the humor doesn't land. The dialogue is almost unbearable at times. I'll be honest with you. But like the humor that's supposed to be in it. And I do think that on some level, this is trying to be a movie that is self-aware and is trying to be funny in a self-aware way, but it doesn't land. It doesn't work the way that they want it to work in this movie. It just comes across as a bad, like, B-rated horror film is basically what this comes across as. Like a random movie you'd find on Netflix on a random Tuesday night to watch because nothing else is on. Like, it's just the quality of film that it is that. A lot of the decisions, a lot of the motivations do not make sense to me. Even bringing back characters that you know from the first ones, to be fair, was probably the better part of the film, but it wasn't enough to make it a good film. It wasn't enough to redeem anything else about this film. So it really overall is one of the biggest letdowns that I can possibly think of in recent memory. Yeah.
Jastin, what about you?
Yeah, I think I agree with a lot of what you said, Heather, and what you didn't say, Sterling. Like,
See, I think the best thing about my segment was like the things I didn't say. You know,
exactly.
they really resonate.
Yeah. I understood what you meant. And what you meant was this wasn't good. So, I mean, it is what it is. There's really no way around it. And like, I'm a person that's of the opinion of, I remember the original I Know What You Did Last Summer, but I don't remember it because it was a good movie. I don't think it is. And like, since I've gone back and watched it, I want to say I went back and watched it, not recently. It was some years ago. It's been out a while, since 97. But even going back and watching it was kind of the realization that, wow, this really isn't good. But I think at the time that it came out, and we talked about this a little before we came on, it was a perfect storm of ingredients that sort of came together, and this movie probably just made more money than it had the right to make. Like, and maybe a lot of that is what you guys talked about. It just had a really trendy, attractive cast, the 97 movie. But I mean, you know, you got Jennifer Love Hewitt in there. You got Sarah Michelle Gellar in there. You got Freddie Prinze Jr. in there. You got, you know, there were people in that film that at the time, you know, kids and people, young people our age were really into, and they were really, you know, these were some of the popular stars for young adults at that time. So I think the timing was right. I Know What You Did Last Summer is kind of one of those long titles, but it's a memorable title. Like, I Know What You Did Last Summer. That doesn't sound like a typical title for a typical like horror movie. So even that title with the length, as lengthy as it is kind of unique and kind of memorable. So I think with that 97 film, it was just the perfect storm of things. It wasn't good, but it made a good amount of money.
It was also probably banking off of coming right after Scream, or not too far after Scream, you know?
Yeah. And that was the big criticism about it. I'm glad you mentioned that, is that it was just a bad version of Scream. That's what the critical consensus was at the time. And when you think about it, if you outline I Know What You Did Last Summer, it does play a lot like Scream does. Something bad happened. We're unraveling a mystery, and it's about this thing that happened and us trying to figure it out. And, you know, so it's about like this sort of thing. And the killer is doing this because there's this whole revenge plot and everything. You know, there are a lot of parts about it that play like the Scream. But the only problem is that Scream was super clever. Scream had great dialogue. Scream was very much a great satire of horror movies. And this was kind of like that. It's kind of like that bargain bag cereal, you know, of a Scream movie. You know, it has some attractive leads. It has some of the ingredients. You got a killer that's somewhat unique. Raincoat Hook Man, the fisherman, or whatever the technical name for him is. But, and maybe when you first bite into it, you know, it tastes a little bit like the name brand. But then you start chewing and you really start eating it, and then you realize that this is some bullshit. And I mean, that's kind of what so ultimately that's kind of what the consensus was on the 97 one. And this 2025 one, okay, you're remaking it, but you're remaking something that really wasn't that great in the first place. But the elements that sort of made I Know What You Did, the 97 one, passable, you don't really have in this one. These aren't leads. These are attractive people. I mean, the cast, these are attractive people that were casted, but these are not like it people or like these it actors that everybody is into and loves and stuff like that. This is not the same ingredients that you were using last time. And even though you brought back some of those nostalgic elements, you know, you brought back Jennifer Love Hewitt, you brought back Freddie Prinze Jr., but obviously this movie had no idea of how to utilize them to make them seem like special in this movie. They're utilized, but none of it feels special or interesting or like, oh man, they're in here and their presence made a significant impact. Now, granted, their star power does help when it's in a movie with a bunch of people who you could argue don't have much of it, or at least they aren't given the tools to really showcase what they have. Maybe that's a more nicer, better way of putting it. But so maybe Freddie Prinze and Jennifer Love stand out in that way, because when they're on screen, the acting that is happening is better. I mean, it is. They're more seasoned. They are better at this than the other people casted. So I guess I can say that about it, but they're not in the hands of a skilled writer or director. So they are acting just surrounded by a bunch of shit. And they're acting well, but you can't help but smell it. You can't help but see it. And it can't help but fester. And all you can think is somebody needs to clean that shit up. You're not focused on any of the good acting that Jennifer Love or Freddie Prinze is trying to bring to it. And they tried, but I mean, you're just surrounded in shit. I mean, you can't do anything about it. You know, Gordon Ramsay could be cooking you the greatest meal ever, but if it's surrounded in shit, I mean, it's just, ultimately, it's just, that's all you can focus on. And ultimately, that's all I could focus on with this. Nothing interesting happens. There's nothing clever about the script. It does have some wink, wink, we're self-aware moments. But no, it's just not clever, though. It's just not funny. It's not hilarious. It's not, the delivery's not there. The timing and precision of those scenes and the presentation is not there. And then the killer, yeah, it's our fisherman with the hook, but You were right, Heather. And I think that might be the biggest sin of this. None of the kills are interesting. None of them. With all the CGI and the makeup and the special effects, not one of the kills is interesting or done in an interesting way. And that might be the biggest sin of the movie. I came here to see a horror movie. I came here to see a slasher. At least deliver on some people getting slashed.
I think what's really funny is you guys ultimately are just saying, this is the anti-Final Destination Bloodlines.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah. And that's the problem too. You mentioned that movie. We just had a movie that came out that's been a continuation of a long franchise that's reputable, and we had a good version of it. We know what a good movie like this is supposed to be. And you come here with this in the middle of summer when we got Superman and Fantastic Four and Jurassic Park and all this other stuff to watch. And you're supposed to be the alternative to that stuff. And this is all you got for me? Come on,
Especially coming so close off of Bloodlines, which was arguably the best movie in the entire franchise. And then you're giving us basically the same movie we got however many years ago.
Yeah. And you're coming off of that I still know what you did last summer with Brandy and shit.
Okay, you're technically coming off of I'll always know what you did last summer.
Oh, that's right. I'll always know. My bad.
Is that connected to the other two movies? I didn't see the third one, so I wasn't sure.
I don't know if it's connected. It has none of the cast members.
It has none.
But it technically
is it in the same town?
Man, you were asking me to really remember a movie I saw once.
As much as they talk about that town in this movie, I was just curious.
You were asking so much, Heather.
That's fair. That was an unfair question.
That movie has a 0% on Rotten Tomatoes.
That was like a round 10 trivia question.
And it takes up 0% of my mind.
So,
just saying.
Yeah. But golly, man, like, if you can't deliver on anything, maybe if there had been some cool kills in this or something, maybe I would have at least been able to walk out with that.
I don't know what it is about horror movies that are slashers or predicated on kill counts and all these things. Why they're so afraid to, I don't know, kill people?
Yeah.
Like, what the fuck else are you doing with your movie? It really goes back to like what we were talking about with Jurassic World and all this other stuff. Or even Megan and stuff like that. It's like, but why are you not doing the things that you should do? Like, why? Why are you even making this movie then? And more specifically, it's like Jurassic Park or Jurassic World Dominion, when it's like they get into like the dinosaur locusts and shit, and you're just like, just do dinosaurs. And in this movie, it really is just fucking kill people.
Do slasher, yeah.
Just you're having deaths happen off camera.
Yeah.
What the fuck are you doing?
Yeah.
True.
Just be a slasher.
You could do in a slasher film is kill people off camera. What the fuck else are you doing? What are you filming? If you're not filming people dying, what are you filming?
Especially when it looks like it might have been it could be one of the best deaths you would see on screen.
And they're just like, look at this dead body. And you're like, well, fuck me, I guess. You can't even give me a flashback right after to show me how it... Nothing.
Yeah.
Just nothing.
Yeah. It really is the most egregious sin of this movie. Like, and the last thing I'll say is there might have been one scene that came close to being something. There might have been a dream sequence that maybe kind of, sort of came close to being something. But even then, again, there's nothing to go with it. There's nothing in the front or the back that connects it in any kind of way to go with anything. So again, it's just a scene. It's just there. It's just a sequence. But that might have been the most interesting it got, with talking about the guilt of this character and the and what was going on the inside, and kind of doing something and knowing that you're guilty and trying to hide that and the inner struggle with that, which are all great things to have in this. If there was any way to make this story better, those are the things that you should be leaning and focusing on. But again, they didn't know how to make that mean anything either. That was the closest thing I saw to maybe the direction you could have went with some of this. But again, it's all surrounded in shit. So it's just a scene.
I just like the idea of Gordon Ramsay cooking you a meal and you're like, man, this is going to be the best thing ever. And then he just takes it and puts it in a pile of dog shit. He goes, here you go. And you're just like, oh, okay.
Okay.
I guess I'll eat this.
And quick side note, like, I don't know if you guys saw these movies, but this is the same director that did Someone Great on Netflix with Lakeith Stanfield and Gina.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. I forget her last name, but yes, she did that, and she did Do Revenge, like, which are both fairly solid movies.
That's the one with, what's her name from, it's got Mia Hawke in it, and the girl that plays Veronica from.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
What was that show called?
Camila Mendez. Huh?
What was that show called?
It was a movie called Do Revenge.
No, the show.
Oh, Riverdale.
Yeah, Riverdale. That was it.
Yeah. So, like, decently solid other movies, which were a completely different genre than this, but it's just a baffling change in what this director did.
Anyway, recommendations and scores.
Yep.
Sure.
All right.
Recommendations and score.
I almost didn't hit that. Jastin, what you got?
Yeah, this will be short and sweet. It's not a recommend. There are just so many other movies that you could watch. There are better horror movies like the one we just mentioned that have already come and gone that you could be watching. This just, when you think about the other summer movies and things that are out, it just feels like there are other movies that you should probably spend your money on. So I can't, in good conscience, tell anybody that they need to, in any way, spend any kind of money on this. So, yeah. That's going to be that. I guess we'll give it 8. Are we really doing all of this based on the possibility of manslaughter? Because we could go to jail forever for that. Out of 100.
Heather, what you got?
No, I don't recommend it. It actually will probably frustrate you if you're a fan of the first one and the second one. It will make you wish you didn't watch it because you'd rather certain characters just be how they were in those than they are in this one. So no, it's not a recommend. It's not good. It doesn't add anything to any of the other movies, which already weren't the best to begin with. There's not a reason to tell anybody to specifically go watch this movie. So I can't recommend it. It's not good. It's not good. That being said though, I don't know. I'm going to give it 10 points solely for Jennifer Love Hewitt. out of 100?
For me, okay, so CineScores is 6.
Okay.
Spoilers?
Sure.
Yes.
Spoilers.
Why the fuck am I going to waste my time talking during all these other sections? Why the fuck am I going to try? Movie didn't try. Why the fuck am I trying? It's offensive to think I should try during anything with this movie. Because movie didn't try. Movie's a bunch of bullshit. Right down to when they accidentally killed the guy. That was rough. Oh, he swerved because I was in the middle of the street. I don't even know if you get manslaughter for that, bro.
Yeah.
I don't even know if you get manslaughter for that. At least in the first one, they were drunk driving and hit a guy.
And hit a guy. They actually hit someone.
They killed someone.
Yeah, they did. Here it was like, it wasn't even really like. That was dumb.
It's with a bad lawyer, you get 20 hours of community service. Like, that's what this was. It was nothing. I mean, don't get me wrong, somebody died. I'm just saying, this being the conceit that leads for the rest of the movie. Like, this is the focal point. This is the hinge point for the whole movie. And that's the best you can come up with? The best? And then you have the audacity at the end of the movie to tell me that one of the characters that was there, that was her secret boyfriend and she didn't know it was him. And now she's murdering everybody?
Yep.
The fuck?
Yeah.
And I know the writer and director, they're going to sit there and say that the killers in this movie don't lie. That's a stretch. There's a scene in particular where they're together and she's like, I'm worried because they're not answering their phones. And she's and Freddie Prinze Jr. is like, all right, well, we got to go though. And that's supposed to be them talking as killers?
I promise I'd keep you safe or something like that is what he said. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's them talking as killers?
Come on. Yeah. Come on, man.
No, that's a lie. You lied. They wouldn't be talking about that. She wouldn't be worried that they're not answering their phone. She'd be fucking annoyed. She'd be like, son of a bitch, they're not answering their phone. It's going to be harder to kill them. Is what she would have said. And also, how the fuck is Freddie Prinze Jr. one of the killers? In what drug-induced, like, fuckfest were you in when you wrote that fucking part of the script? And what drugs were you giving everybody that read it to make them go, that tracks? Because I know I don't do drugs, but fuck, I want to do those. That is some severely mind-altering shit.
And the mentality was,
They forgot
they
about
covered
us.
it up. They forgot about us. I want them to remember. You couldn't gather the names of the victims and you couldn't just go to the media and do some sort of anniversary.
You couldn't do like this other bitch did and make a podcast?
Yeah.
Come on.
Make a podcast.
Movies
True.
love throwing podcasters in there. Fuck, this movie does.
Yep.
And they still, you tell me Freddie Prinze can't be doing no podcast?
You couldn't hire just a camera person to go to the grave sites and just talk about what happened and make your own little video and release it and talk about this is the anniversary. I don't want people to forget what happened to us.
Why are they acting like
summer.
TikTok and YouTube don't exist?
Right.
Like of all the other options you had to not make people forget about this, the option you land on is murdering people.
Well, yeah. And what's more than that is like, so you decided that the solution was to become the thing that like screwed up your entire life. And that was your solution to make everybody else like understand you, was to make them go through the exact same trauma that you went through twice.
But then also when he's like, but she lost everything. So I'm going to kill people and make them and their families suffer?
Correct.
Just like she did?
It doesn't make any sense. Yeah, like she lost everything. Right. Because of somebody, like, basically because of what you went through years ago. It's the same, like, the logic doesn't track.
Yeah.
Like,
and if
you're becoming the person who made somebody lose everything.
And then also, if you feel so adamant about it, why didn't you go get yourself arrested for the man you murdered?
Yep.
A few decades ago. Most of the time, murder and shit don't have a statute of limitations. Just go get yourself in jail then. If it's that important.
And on that point, like, my thing too is when he was saying something to the effect of, oh, yeah, something like that just changes you forever. Like, it changed you almost 30 years later, though. Like, it didn't change you more immediately when it happened to you. Like, this isn't making sense.
But also, like I said, the girl's all mad because they killed her boyfriend that she didn't know died. Even she was there. She didn't even know he died. I'm not gonna lie, that makes you a bad girlfriend, yo. Like, that makes you a bad girlfriend. But like, it's just this plot of just confuctuousness. Like it's just nothing. It's just a bunch of nothing. For them to go at the end of the movie, oh man, it was the rehab girl the whole time. Oh, okay, I guess. I don't care. End the movie. The only reason why I was happy when they did the killer reveal is because I knew the movie was almost done. But the thing is also that really sucks is, you know, there has to be a second killer because Stevie was outside when one of the killers was like doing shit and you're like, fuck. Oh, there's going to be another reveal. And then it's Freddie Prinze Jr. and you're just like, fuck. All this for more nothing. Just, and all it is just to have Jennifer Love Hewitt come back and help kill Freddie Prinze Jr. in the end. Yep. That's the sole reason why they did it.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay, I guess.
Showed up.
And then just have a mid-credit sequence with Brandy, and then she shows up and they're like, oh, we got to get going now. For who? I guess Stevie? Are Jennifer Love Hewitt and Brandy going to team up to go track down and hunt and kill Stevie? Are we going to get a I still know what you're doing again? Where it's just them on a road trip hunting down Stevie? Is that what they're saying? And also, there's a weird line in this movie where they're like, man, think about it. And all this is because some men didn't get therapy. I mean, don't get me wrong. I do think men's mental health is severely under talked about and more men do need therapy. But also the main killer was a fucking woman. So that's a weird line. It's just a weird line. Like, I don't necessarily disagree with it, but I just don't know why it's there, because it negates 50% of your movie. Like, I'm just like, okay, I guess. But also, who did Stevie kill in this movie? Because all the deaths they did have had to have been Freddie Prinze Jr. for the sheer amount of strength they took.
Exactly.
The first guy that dies, he is shot with a harpoon gun, and the guy holds him and actually pulls it. Stevie can't pull no guy with a harpoon gun.
Yeah.
And then we know in the restaurant it is him, because Stevie's on the outside. So we know that one's him. Okay. Then you get to the one where whenever the killer is chasing him in the cemetery, that that has to be Freddie Prinze Jr. because he punches through a fucking float with one hit. So that ain't Stevie. I guess technically ex-boyfriend could have been Stevie, but I think based on the angle in which he gets choked, that still has to be Freddie Prinze Jr. And then the guy, football player and his dad, that had to have been Freddie Prinze Jr. So did Stevie kill anybody? Maybe the preacher you don't see die? Maybe? That's the only one that could have maybe been Stevie? I guess? I just don't... What the fuck were they doing? The only single positive thing that came from anything to do with this movie is Jennifer Love Hewitt looked fucking phenomenal on the red carpet for the premiere of this movie. But also, I don't know, you could have waited like 2 years and just had her look just as good on the 30th anniversary of them like doing some fucking like reunion bullshit on YouTube. I could have gotten just the same thing and it would have been just as good. I don't get it. And I know there were a lot of people on the internet, and I don't necessarily like the idea of basing anyone in Hollywood's worth or anything like that on their looks or anything like that. But a lot of people were on the internet talking shit about Jennifer Love Hewitt and how she looked at the red carpet for this. I don't get it. She looked fucking phenomenal.
It makes less sense than this movie does. Yeah.
But on top of that too, you're comparing an 18-year-old to a fucking 38, or like an 18-year-old to
46.
Yeah, 46-year-old. Like, common sense.
46-year-old with 3 kids. Like,
but even 46, 18, and you're gonna look different.
Correct. She looks amazing.
You're gonna look different.
I'm so confused. Like, she looked so good.
But I just don't get it. Like, it's more weirdness for this movie to me. It's just more I don't understand related to this movie. Why was it made? Why do people want to say things that are factually untrue? Why did they want to have Stevie be the killer? Why did Freddie Prinze Jr. be the killer? Why was Sarah Michelle Gellar there at all? There's a flashback where Sarah Michelle Gellar comes to yell at a teenager. Or not a dream sequence. What dream sequence are you talking about, Jastin? That's the only one I remember in this movie. Were you talking about that?
Yes.
What? Okay, then.
Yes.
Then what did you like about it? Because I'm confused.
Well, what I was saying is that, like, it's not good, but what it's grounded in is good ideas. Her seeing somebody who was in the character who she's modeled after, because that's what
the analog.
That's who Danica is. Danica's basically like her in this movie, and her seeing that character, and then her kind of the back and forth of her basically being the voice of her guilt and her and saying, you know, this is happening because of you. You didn't do what you were supposed to do. This is all, a lot of this is happening because it's your fault. Everything like that, kind of playing, using an old character to play on the guilt of this other character so that she can try to overcome that. I get what the idea was. Was it executed well? No. And you didn't do enough with that. They weren't talking enough. They had one scene, I think, with her and the other girl where they're talking about, yeah, man, life hasn't been good. We've been guilty as fuck. But that was the only time in the movie any of that came up. So then when you have that dream sequence, if the whole movie had been based around that, and like, if the slasher is kind of like your karma or whatever, or the pay, like, because that's kind of what this is supposed to be, right? You did something bad and the killer is supposed to be the karma coming back for you doing something bad. But maybe tied up into that is the guilt that something bad is going to happen to you because you did this bad thing and you didn't do the right thing and you didn't atone for it and stuff like that. And if the movie had played into that, though, the guilt of that and how that can overtake you and that can make you do all of these things and not forgiving yourself, and, you know, all that shit that can come with being consumed by guilt. I think if the movie had leaned into that with the characters, then that dream sequence would have really meant something. But as it is, you didn't develop any of those ideas. You just used the dream sequence to kind of try to have the idea right there at the end with that character. And it didn't make a difference because it wasn't a developed idea. But I guess that's what I could appreciate. I appreciated the idea, the thought behind it, because I get what they were doing. But was it executed well? No, not necessarily. And it wasn't developed well either within that character.
I think even maybe it would have been a better sequence if, like, maybe like Danica was like reading the article about this Helen's death or something, like right before she fell asleep, and in her mind we're seeing played out like what happened in the original movie with her, you know, like like her dream is what's happening in the original movie, and then just intercuts with Sarah Michelle Gellar's character like saying like, you did this, Danica, or something like that, like, you know, where the dream kind of overlaps into like how she feels or whatever. But that maybe would have worked better than just like this, like she knew her or something. It was not executed well, but I get what you're saying. I see how it could have been a better idea if it was maybe executed in a different way.
Yeah, and I meant to say that and didn't, but you're absolutely right. That was another problem I had with it. Did they have some sort of connection? Like,
they were
we
both
know
Crocker Queens or whatever.
Yeah, the Crockers, whatever that's town. Yeah, Queens. That was it.
Yeah. So like, but and I guess more or less, I'm talking about like what you're talking about, Heather. Was there a personal connection there? Like, we know what the connection is,
right?
But like you said, if they were doing some research on what happened in the past, and they were like, well, this Helen person was, even if there had just been a line, man, you know, this Helen person kind of was, I was her, you know, I'm the queen too, or whatever, blah, blah, blah. I was her, I guess, when this was happening, whatever, you know, that if they had established some sort of personal connection with those two, or
even like the podcast talking about like the life of Helen while she's doing this story about what happened to them. And she's like, oh my gosh, that sounds just like me, or something like that, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. You needed something like that. You needed to plant that seed first before just hitting us with it. Because we know that she's supposed to be the Sarah Michelle Gellar character in this movie. But like you said, but that makes no sense why this character would know or be connected or anything like that. So it's another example of that sort of in a way sort of meta-ish being for us, but it doesn't serve the narrative of this movie because you didn't develop it right at all.
But also, now that I think about it, why did they kill the podcaster? Because the podcaster was there to tell her story. And if Freddie Prinze Jr. is mad that they forgot the story, that podcaster was like, I'm here to tell the story. And then they killed her. Like,
Yeah.
Why?
What does she do?
She tried to help the one girl live. The one girl that, like Freddie Prinze Jr. said, was the only one that wanted to do anything. So, like, Freddie Prinze Jr., and that's the thing, is Freddie Prinze Jr. is the one that killed the podcaster. We know this for a fact. Because Stevie was outside the door when she died.
Yeah, they're just doing things in this movie.
Yeah.
So he's like, man, no one knows my story. I'm going to tell your story, then you're going to die.
Yeah, you're right. That doesn't
Right.
make any sense at all.
But also, like, thinking about that too, and something that like stood out to me as one of the flaws is like Stevie's whole thing was, you know, just wanting revenge on all the people that allowed her boyfriend to get killed. Ava was like, why was she after her at all? Our main girl, because she was the one that was like, no, we need to go down and help. We need to do something. We need to go to the police. More so than Stevie was. Stevie was even like, nah, you know, I'm on, like, I've got like a probation thing or something. I need to be careful. Like, let's just go. She was the one doing that more than Ava was. So actually, there's no reason whatsoever that Ava should have been attacked by anybody. She wanted to do the right thing, and she was forced not to because she wasn't driving and they threatened, like, whatever. But, like, there's zero reason that Stevie specifically should have gone after Ava, who was wanting to do the right thing more than Stevie was wanting to do the right thing, who only wanted to do the right thing after she knew it was her boyfriend.
Just what the fuck, this movie? I was so mad through so much of this movie. So mad. And also, you live in North Carolina and no one has a gun? It's North Carolina.
Right.
No one has a gun.
Especially final girls from other movies need to
Why
have
the
guns.
fuck did Jennifer Love Hewitt have no guns? Come on.
Right.
Come on. She'd be having 27 guns, man. Come on.
For the sake of
Come
this
on.
story, you have a gun if you're Julie James. You just do.
I'm just saying. If anybody have a gun, it's her, and she still don't have a gun. But also, how did not everybody have a gun?
And then the Danica and Teddy, they didn't marry, but they weren't together. And then she was married to somebody else, but then he gets killed. But then they have to be together in these scenes and then get back. What was the point of all that?
Justin.
A twist.
Why would you do all that? I mean, they have just been married and that guy could have just been somebody else that got killed or a friend that they knew or anything. Why the back and forth of that when it didn't mean shit?
Also, your first death shouldn't be somebody I just met 5 minutes ago.
Exactly. He was just, again, what did he do? He was
Right.
just there.
And
And then
why
she
did
didn't kill him. She did. I mean, and then they didn't kill the girl who was involved.
Yeah,
Why did she get to
Danica.
live? Danica. Why did you kill her then?
Because they wanted to subvert expectations. You had 2 final girls. You had 3 final girls because the killer's still alive.
Right.
Feminism. That sounds shitty. Why did I say that? Because then it sounds like I'm not like feminist. And that's some weird agenda of this movie. No, it's just bad. And I made a bad joke. I'm sorry.
I mean, and the thing too about like this, the whole thing with the setup of her, you know, they're there for her bridal shower or something like that, right? For this, whatever's happening. one of the things that bugged me a lot, and it's like the least like thing that matters in this movie, but right after the first guy gets killed and they're at the police station and she's like, am I a widow now? I'm like, first of all, you're not actually, because you weren't married yet, as far as I understand.
Yeah, but
Right?
they were trying to make her an idiot. And they tried to have the other girl be like, you're a widow now.
Yeah. But also the fact that she, like, that was one of those moments where the humor does not land for me, where she's like, but you're a hot widow. Like, that's supposed to be funny in that exact moment of like trying to figure out anything else going on in this movie up to that point.
Where
super weird.
Where I disagree with you, Heather, is the funny part is actually the next line. When Danica says, when she starts crying and she's like, well, the hot was implied.
Oh, yeah.
That was the funny line.
I mean, that was more amusing, yes, but I'm just like, why is this even a line in this movie? It really bugs me.
It's bad setup to get to another line, because you're right. That should have been the punchline. Like the way the comedic beats land.
Yeah.
That should have been the punchline. But they had to go another line to get the punchline. And it's also muddled by the fact that she's crying.
Yeah, exactly.
But like I will say that one was kind of amusing, just because she's like, well, the hot was implied. Like that, I didn't chuckle and I didn't like smirk, but my eye might have twinkled a little bit.
I mean, and the funny thing too is the ex-fiance, Teddy, is that his name? I thought I was going to probably hate him the most, right? Because he was supposed to be the Ryan Phillippe of it all in the first movie. I actually ended up finding him to be one of the more interesting characters. And that's not saying much, because none of them are interesting. But like, I think some of the ways that he responded to things made more sense to me than in other people's response. Like, you know, kind of what you're talking about, Jastin, when like they're just they're back and forth together with Teddy and Danica and their whole thing. But when they're specifically in the cemetery and they're looking at Helen Shiver's grave and she's just like, oh, look, like she was the queen just like me. And he's like, oh, hey, diva, cool. I don't care. Like, let's get out of here. Like, I just kind of appreciated that he was a little bit like that, because he's like, we're all screwed. Like, you feel like he kind of understood that more than some of the other people did. And you just, for me, I didn't expect that from his character, because he was the stupid idiot standing in the middle of the road in the first place. But the way that he was responding to what was happening in the aftermath of it, I appreciated more than most of the other characters.
And also, when that car came around the corner, those lights were there like for like half a millisecond. Like the other car they saw coming, but like it really is like this car just turned on its lights all like at the last second and then swerved. Like, and that's why your boyfriend died, Stevie. He was driving around the mountains with no lights on. I'm done. I'm fuck this movie.
Yeah, I'm just out.
I mean, I think like with Stevie, it's funny to me because obviously this is not a Scream movie, but I feel like she was trying her best to be like Stu. You know what I mean? Like just the way when she's revealed and she's like acting like a maniac, and you know, she's like talking really fast too, which the point of I didn't actually understand what she was saying. Like she was talking so fast when she was like explaining and doing the exposition dump, which is also a huge problem in this movie. So much of that, where they're just like, oh, what you mean this thing that happened 3 years ago that I just have to mention right now because we need the audience to know what we're about to talk about? Literally did that so much in this movie. It was insane. It was crazy. Yeah, that was that was rough too. And like, yeah, I mean, there's it, like, what can you really say? Like, it's so disappointing that even like we said, the kills weren't even interesting. Like, even at least in the first movie, you got like the, cutting off Sarah Michelle Gellar's hair when she's sleeping. You got that moment, right? And you've got the whole thing of, she's at the next year's event and like her boyfriend's being killed from the rafters and like she's screaming and nobody believes it. There's at least memorable moments from the first one that are, made fun of in other movies, like Scary Movie. Like there's at least things about the original that you remember what happens. In this one, what is it? There's no memorable, there's no build up to memorable things. Like there's nothing to say like, oh yeah, do you remember that moment in the new movie? And no, you don't, because there's nothing memorable to like think about in this movie. And like also the whole thing about Freddie Prinze Jr. and Jennifer Love Hewitt like being divorced and essentially hating each other to like an unreasonable amount that you don't know why they hate each other so much, because they don't really explain it in this movie. But it's just wild because in like the first one, they kind of start their relationship up. In the second one, they get engaged and they're engaged, and like bro like travels and sells his belongings to get to whatever like place she was vacationing to make sure that she wasn't killed by this guy. We go from that to this man hates her. And he's like, you know what? I'm just tired of you. And now I got to kill you myself. Like, what? What is this transition? And what is the build up to why you hate each other so much? Because the only thing he said was like, when they were like, oh yeah, you used to be married to her. And he's like, unfortunately. Like, what is that? Like, we don't even get an explanation for this crazy hatred that you have for each other.
It's tropes. It's people are divorced, so they hate each other.
Right.
It's that. That's exactly what it is.
That's what it is.
Because also, what scene doesn't make sense if you're the killer showing up at your ex-wife's house to make sure she's safe?
Exactly. Like that's what part of that whole, you feel like the audience does lie to you. And I will say, in those moments, I think that Freddie Prinze Jr.'s acting in those moments was good when he's like being very urgent and very like earnest about how he feels about something, but it was fake. So it didn't matter. Like he was very earnest with her when he's like, I want to make sure you're all right. And when he's at the town hall meeting and he's like, no, people need to know, you feel like he believes that, right? Like, I think that what he did as the performance as Ray was good, but the reason behind why he's the killer doesn't add up. And so it makes everything he did in this movie that felt sincere feel stupid because it was fake. The whole thing was fake. And that was annoying.
I want everybody to remember what happened. That's why I killed the podcaster that was going to tell everybody what happened.
Right. What is this logic, honestly? And the logic at the end of it too, where essentially they're just like, oh, like if, we get found together, like the fake shooting essentially, right? So that they're not caught together, when you're just like, okay, there's one person left alive, just kill that person and problem solved. Why are we doing all this?
What if Ray was worried about getting caught or anybody? Why wouldn't he just kill her on the boat? Why would you have the fake?
Yeah.
Why would you have the planned conversation of, Stevie, if I get there and you haven't killed both of them yet, we're going to have me fake kill you so I can go kill her on shore. Stevie was already fucked. Everybody knew Stevie was the killer at that point. Why wouldn't you just kill both of them, throw them overboard, let Stevie go, fuck off? Why would that not be your plan? Why would you have the fake get out of jail free card for just Ray? Being like, Stevie, you can't do it. I got to shoot you. And Stevie's going to act like she doesn't know the man, like, or that they're not in it together. Why did they have that planned out?
Yeah.
Yeah.
There was no reason for it. It was wild. And also just the real nonchalant way that they talked about it at the end with the two girls. And they're just like, oh, did you know that Stevie's still alive? That's crazy. We should probably go after her, right? Just the real, like, casual, like, morning brunch conversation they're having about this. Like, what is this? This is just crazy to me. I don't get it. Like, the only thing to me that felt somewhat realistic is Jennifer Love Hewitt's character becoming somebody who teaches about trauma. That makes sense to me. I can actually see that being a thing.
Mhm.
But like, I also really hate how much they really shoehorned in her doing her like, "What are you waiting for?" line. I hated it so much.
Oh God, yes. Why did they
I'm
do
like,
that?
it was not needed, and it actually made that more cheesy than it already was for you to bring it back for that.
Yeah.
Like, and then with Brandy at the end, like, no offense, Brandy musically, I love her. She's not the actress of, the century. I'm just going to say that. But like, I don't know. I feel like when she's watching the news about what happened and all of this, I kind of wish she would have said something else about it. Like, because I remember in the second movie, she was not for Ray. She was not for him. She was trying to set him up with the other guy that was on the trip with them. And then she came around at the end to being like, okay, I guess you picked the right one. Like, she should have called back to something about like, man, like, maybe I was right about him all along or something like to that effect. But I don't know. Just the whole scene with her going to Brandy, and being like, we got to go on this mission. I just don't know what type of movie that's going to set up, like we were saying, because if it is Stevie, we already know who the killer is. So it's not going to be the same type of movie unless we're basically introducing an entirely new killer again. For what though? And who would it be? So it just literally no like main points in this movie made sense at all. And like another like small thing that doesn't matter, but they asked that groundskeeper for like footage of who was at that grave, right? That was the groundskeeper. Why would he also have access to that in the first place? And why was he killed?
No. Well, it's not why does he have access? Why was he just like, all right, I'll give it to you.
Yeah. Why does he have access, and why was he just going to do it?
Give it to anybody. You didn't know
Right.
that? It's a part of the secret oath of groundskeepers.
Right.
If you ask a groundskeeper for footage, they have to give it to you.
Right.
Yeah.
Like no questions asked or anything. They were just like, oh, do you know who was here? No. Well, can you find out? All right, I guess. Like, what? And then dude just, also why kill him? I guess maybe he would have got them to find out who was there, which we still don't technically know who was there. I guess it was Stevie.
It was Stevie. I mean,
Yeah. But like, why was he killed? He was a groundskeeper. He had nothing to do with this. Like, you're just killing
ruined
people.
her life.
Right. Again, I'm so mad at any motivation here. Ray's motivation entirely, and also Stevie wanting to kill Ava at all. Like, at all. It's just the whole, especially because, like you said, with the whole, is that really manslaughter thing at the beginning? But also, does Stevie have any justification for wanting to kill any of them, actually? Because she was the same thing. She was like, yeah, let's just go. She literally did the same thing as all these people she's trying to kill.
She was fine when John Doe died.
Correct.
When it became guys
Yeah.
she knew burned the world down.
Right. And it's
Yeah.
like, I get that because you know him. He was your boyfriend. But it's like, okay, then, but you also didn't tell anybody that either. Like, hey, this was my boyfriend. And like, instead, you just plan this 1 year plot of, I'm going to just kill everybody who decided to do the same thing I decided to also do before I knew who it was. Like, let's get a better motivation. Like, nothing about this movie felt planned out. They were just doing things to do them. They really were. Especially like Sterling, you mentioning that podcaster. For why? That scene wasn't even a good like scene for killing. It wasn't even a good kill scene. And then she's just like, you. When she takes off the mask. Like, okay, cool, I guess. Why does she know who that is? I guess maybe from the
Because she was researching, the people that were involved in the first round. So she would know Ray.
Yeah. That's fair. But I'm just like, that also, like, you don't need to say that line. Like, take the mask off.
I just like to think that when they cut away, he looks at her and goes, "They forgot her story." She's just like, "But I'm but
this is what I'm here for." It's like, no, it's too late.
They forgot our story.
Just completely losing the plot of why he's doing what he's doing. Yeah. So yeah, that's all I had. I just had more grievances about things like that.
I'm continually just, they forgot our story.
People need to know then we're killing the podcaster who's actually specifically here to research what happened to us, to tell about it on the podcast. That's such a good point, Sterling. Like, what? Like, she's specifically there to do the thing that he's killing people about. And he still kills her. Doesn't allow her to do the thing that he wanted to be done.
It blows my mind.
And also, how did Jennifer Love Hewitt figure out it was him?
They don't really explain that. You know, she looked at a picture and she was like, "Hey, that's a picture of my ex-husband. So he must be the killer."
Oh, man. Yeah.
Like, yeah, it really is kind of weird like that. Like, oh no, my ex-husband was in a picture with the killer. That means he's the other killer. Even though there's so many people were in pictures with Stevie. But, you know, whatever.
That one picture of them. Yeah. And like,
he's like, "How did you know?" And she's like, "Because I know you, right?" Then why did it take you so long? If you know him, like,
to figure this out. And I do agree also about just Sarah Michelle Gellar. Like, she didn't need to be in it. Like, I understand, you know, it's just like, cool, bring her back. But it was unnecessary. But I will say probably she did have one of the best lines to me when she's like, "Oh, you're Helen Shivers." She's like, "Don't you forget it." That was probably the most in-character thing of any character in this movie, was for her to say that. Like, that's a very...
Well, that was more in
Helen thing to
character
do.
than, you know, anything they had Freddie Prinze Jr. doing.
Right. Man, yeah, it was... What a disaster of a film. What happened? Just...
I don't know. You're the one that gave it double digits. Double digits.
I'm comfortable with my score, but it's still a 10. Okay.
Double digits.
You're acting like I gave it a 90.
That is a 90 for this film.
Oh my gosh.
Jastin gave it an 80 and you gave it 100 as far as I'm concerned. Oh,
I'm tapped out though.
All right. Anything, Jastin? Did you get reinvigorated? Did you think of anything else?
No, I'm good.
All right. On that note, thank you guys for listening to this episode of the Cinema Slayers podcast. Check us out on the internet at www.cinemaslayers.com. We're a Cinema Slayers podcast on Facebook. We're cinema_slayers on Threads, Instagram, and Letterboxd. We are at Cinema Slayers Pod on TikTok and YouTube. Shout out to Plug Me Go Mundo Cho for our theme song and logos, respectively. Give us 5-star rating or review. We'd really appreciate it. Really help us out. Tell your family, tell your friends, tell your friends' family, tell your family's friends, and most of all, tell those dear sweet mothers, because dear sweet mothers love
97 Freddie Prinze Jr. and current Jennifer Love Hewitt.
Current Freddie Prinze Jr. He doesn't look bad. He aged well.
That's true. He just hasn't been in as much as she has, but yes.
He was involved with the WWE for a while.
Did not know that.
He was
Right, I stand corrected.
acting consultant, and I think partially a writer too.
Yeah, partially a writer, yeah.
You know, I stand corrected. Then present day J Love and Freddie Prinze.
He's the one, according to him, he's the one that helped convince John Cena to do some of the acting lessons and stuff.
So essentially, he's responsible for the career of John Cena. Okay.
I can't remember the rest of this. We here at the Cinema Slayers podcast are Pro Slut, Pro Sydney, Pro Naked, and you. Yes, you Cinefans. Oh, and Pro Steak Fingers. Can't forget the Steak Fingers. You are enough Cinefans. justice for Todd, justice for stunt people, justice for animators and caterers, and also, you know, those, let's do those practical VFX people too, because, you know, when a movie doesn't commit to that, it look bad. They should have, you know, they should have respected their VFX people more. Maybe you would have had better kills. I guess as I was in the TikToks, the YouTube videos, and most importantly this podcast, just remember, according to Jastin, Moon Knight is the Best Picture winner. The movie was so bad, guys. I was so mad when I left this movie.
Well, me and Jastin have done our bad movies. It's your time is next to find a bad movie.
What was Jastin's bad movie?
Zero.
Yeah, that's right.
Oh, come on. The wheel did it. The wheel.
It's true. It was the wheel.
wheel
This was
cheated.
actually just me being like, yeah, sure, I'd like to watch this.
But Jastin, you were the one that was like, but I wanted it on the wheel.
It cheated.
Oh.
The sad thing is, though, I think, Sterling, I actually think you like Tarot better than you like this.
It's all the same at a certain point. It's all the same. Bad horror movies are bad horror movies.
But Tarot had Jacob Batalon.
Who?
Spidey's friend.
Spidey's friend.
Oh, okay.
You don't remember him as the
I don't
jokester
remember
of the
who
whole
fuck
thing?
that guy's name was.
Yeah, he was a real jokester. You didn't remember that?
I don't remember people's names.
Trying so hard. He tried so hard in that movie when he
Yeah.
did not need to do it.
Ugh, anyway. All right, I've got a cat freaking out, and I'm tired. I'm get the fuck out of here.
All right, Monday.
All right, later.
Bye. Or next Monday, I should say. Monday after next.